So here's a question for our youngest guru in the house, and I don't know how up to speed he is on what cars cost these days. Well, let me just ask you this, Keith: the first car you ever owned, where you were physically making car payments on it?
Yeah, that's
what was your
important clarification? Okay,
right. So what did you pay?
Okay, well, do you want me to tell you what roughly the year was, or do we just go?
Yes, I think that's relevant. Yes.
So it would have been 1990.
Okay.
1989, 1990. It was a 1986 Mustang two-door manual transmission, but it was just a four-cylinder because, I worked at the grocery store and my parents didn't want me doing donuts in the parking lot. So I learned to drive a manual transmission on that car. It was technically the second car that I was allowed to drive. The first I did not pay for. That was your clarification, right?
Right.
So my monthly payment, and my family did me a real solid, and they never told me this until years later. I discovered it myself. They never let the cat out of the bag. They went and basically worked a deal out where they made it look like I was mailing my payment into a payment entity, and it was going to like a P.O. box or whatever, and they were taking it. And what they did is they combined my insurance and my car payment into one payment to keep it simple for me. And
that's nice.
They just printed me up a payment booklet, and as far as I knew, I was sending that in to like a bank, but it was going to like them, right?
Yeah.
And so I want to say with insurance, and that's the important distinction there, $250, $285 a month, something like that.
Wow.
$285 a month.
Wow, and that was in 90? Okay, yeah.
It was a 5-6-year-old Mustang.
Okay, yeah. Well, it still carries a significant price, even a 5-year-old Mustang, so it's not cheap. But that was insurance and the car payment itself.
Which for a 16-year-old, insurance was probably half that
pretty high
payment, right?
Yeah, it's pretty high, yeah, until you get into your 30s, yeah, for sure. So, well, I think my first car payment, it was in the early 80s, and it was not an insurance. I didn't have an insurance payment included, and it was a brand new vehicle. Matter of fact, it was an 80 model.
Suzuki Sidekick.
No, believe it or not, it was a Ford Pinto, man.
Wow, in 80, that was right near the end of that.
It really was. It was the trunk version. It was not a hatchback, and it had the Starsky and Hutch styling.
I remember those. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a nice ride for what it was. But I think my monthly payment on that was around $120 a month. For a brand new car. Yeah. I don't know how much, my dad helped me with down payment, but he got it to a manageable car payment for me. I mean, it wasn't, $120 a month in 1980, that's still a lot of money.
Yeah.
And of course, I haven't had a car payment now for probably, I know at least 7 years, 8 years, maybe. I like to get them and then, take care of them and be done with it.
This one right here is repeatedly trying to get me into a car payment. He just sees all this bling, and he's like,
"Well, after this story, he may understand a little bit more why that may not be much of a." By the way,
federal minimum wage 1980, $3.10 an hour.
Oh, I know it all too well, pal. That's
$3.10 an hour, Jay.
Yeah, not a lot of money, pal. Not a lot of money, but I sold a lot of auto parts during those days, so at least I had a paycheck, and I was able to make that note. But here we are, fast forward to 2022, middle of a pandemic. I wouldn't say post-pandemic yet because we're still going through this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just released that the people can expect $650 to more than $700 a month for the average monthly car payment in today's times, in these situations. $650 to $700 a month. That is unbelievable.
And 4 or 5 years if you choose to buy a vehicle. Now that's on a new car, or did they clarify?
No, that's new.
So you would want to. Right now, the used car market is insanely expensive as well.
Mm-hmm.
But you're looking at in the neighborhood of $1,000 a month for the average car payment. We're getting very close to that.
Yeah, which is
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is very crazy.
It makes me question. Like, I've been thinking about this. How, all of the prices are going up for cars and everything. Like, people born just even 50 years into the future, like, is that going to be really tough for them?
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, historically, that's what inflation does, right?
I think the remedy to that, and this is where I'm going with this story, because it's very important understanding how inflation has affected this. You've got the pandemic, you've got supply shortages. The average cost to build a vehicle has got to be astronomical. I had heard that the Mustang Mach-E, for example, Ford is losing money selling those things. Mm-hmm. We know that Rivian raised their prices to future purchasers. They had a lot of backlash because they were going to raise them on current reservation holders. And RJ Scaringe took a lot of flack over that and decided to back off on that, but did say that all newer vehicles from here to forward would cost more.
Well, they don't have a choice. I mean, everything is impacted by supply right now.
Right.
And even if it's not, I know this so well in the RV industry, like they're refusing to even give me a ballpark price now.
No.
On the one that I put an order in for in November of 2021, which still has not started production.
Right. Well, as of June 15, by the way, Tesla has raised their prices once again. And I think this will be the third price increase in this calendar year. They increased their prices across their entire lineup, with the Model X going for as much as $6,000 more than it was 2 months ago. That's pretty significant. These are supply costs. These are passing it on. These are handling. You got to know that there's increases in shipping. There's increases in tariffs, taxes. Of course, fuel prices have increased so much. So transportation, shipping, et cetera. Like I said, all these things are factoring into this. And then, of course, the feds they increased the interest rate. It was the highest increase of its size in more than 30 years. All of this is factoring in. And here's where I'm going to take this. How do you remedy that? How do you make it affordable for people to own their own vehicle? What is going on here? I look at, is this a push towards getting people to more of a public mass transportation?
Well, but it's happening in more than just the auto industry, you know? I mean, it's happening on food. It's happening on consumer goods across the board, right?
It is. It is everything. And it bothers me because vehicles...
Are you going conspiracy theory? Are you about to go...
Well, to me,
okay,
right. Well, I mean, I'm just saying it bothers me because vehicles are, to some people, their livelihood, period.
Oh, delivery, yeah.
Absolutely.
Right?
Or just some people they can't afford to live in the city, so they live an hour and a half away and they commute in. But my point is that, we've got all these, folks that are talking about, environmental issues and all these things and the big push for electric vehicles. And then all of a sudden you've got all these high increases in price, and the wage gap is no longer there. It's not there with the price increases. You see what I'm saying? That bothers me, and I just wonder where we're going with public transportation. Do we in fact have the infrastructure to handle what's coming down the pike with this?
I would answer that no, resoundingly no, and you already know that. Not in most major cities. There are some cities that handle it better than others, and he loves those cities. Washington, D.C. with the Metro line. You know, I mean, but cities like Nashville, oh, it's a hot mess, you know, and they've toyed with the idea for years, and you know this very well, Jay. They basically, it would bankrupt them, even more bankrupt than they already are, right, to go down that road in Nashville. So, by the way, everyone, if you're considering moving to Nashville, we're closed. It's a dumpster fire. Move along. Stop moving in here, people. So,
absolutely.
Now, the silver lining here is the Model Plaid for both the Model X and S, the Plaid package, I should say,
right,
has not increased in price yet. So best go buy in the top end at this point, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's the X, S, Y, and 3 that have all increased. So, but hey, the same story, which broke just recently.
Yeah.
It said the after-hours trading of Tesla stock was up nearly 6%.
So the stock price is up, right? So here we go, right? So this has become a dangerous game.
Yes, it has.
And hence you have the Fed trying to stop inflation, and I'm nervous. Are you nervous?
Oh, I'm absolutely 100% nervous. My advice to anyone out there, if you can, become debt-free. Bottom line, if you have the ability to be able to move through life paying cash for things, that's your answer through this problem that we have right now. Don't go into super big debt. You know, I feel so sorry for people that are looking for homes right now. The effect there is just, first of all, there's no inventory. And then when you find one, the price has exploded so much due to the demand.
It's
that people are playing
a little bit here, but it's still out of control.
Right. Hey, look, that's why they call us the gurus, man. We're going to steer you down the right path, man.